Look at the entire disease space, right? Every cell fundamentally makes around 20,000 proteins. And we have identified that the kind of chemical and biological space is 10 to the order of 60. Right? So if you kind of combine these things, it is impossible to kind of make a certain things. I was listening to another podcast where we're kind of saying that one out of every 20 medicinal chemists actually finds a molecule that has been brought to market. So, I mean, that is quite daunting, right? If you look at the chemical space, if you look at the targets that we have, it is almost impossible to do that with like humans and just experimentations as we have been doing it before. And then to add to that is the entire cost mechanism behind it, right? I mean, if you look at how much it costs to bring a molecule to market, it's currently more than 10 years and around 2.6 billion. So multiply that with the amount of diseases that you have, you're coming up with astronomical numbers that I can't even kind of imagine. Organizations that don't adopt AI will be running behind, but the question on how to adopt it and what you actually need to do in order to adopt AI to the fullest extent, I think is the biggest question mark. And linking that back to the Pistoia meeting that we had for the last 2 days, that's kind of a recurring topic, is how do you generate data in such a way that actually agentic AI or LLMs can actually start utilizing that information. And that conversation has not changed significantly over the last couple of years. And we, as mentioned, we always talk about fair data principles. Those things are still applicable, but they're now kind of rebranded into like an AI project. What we see happening is that in the past, we would do all of these digitization projects to fundamentally just capture information from a compliancy perspective, right? But now what we started to actually do is we're trying to kind of flip that model a little bit upside down. I kind of start to think about, well, what's actually the process in which this information was generated. So it's not only about kind of protecting our intellectual property and making sure that we file that information on time. It's actually how do we utilize that information and the context of which that was generated in order to facilitate better decision making. And that's really the transformation that you kind of see with AI, right? I mean, AI fundamentally needs all of the context in order to drive, let's say, that next iteration of experiments that you might need to do, but therefore you need to be able to provide that context already at the point where it's being generated and not after.